Hello, my name is Dr. Tiffany Wood, and I am the CEO co-founder of Dyneval Limited. We have an innovative technology for measuring the motility of microorganisms, and our vision is to become the expert's choice for semen quality analysis, accessible to anyone, anywhere. It is our belief that with better monitoring of semen quality across the supply chain, we'll be able to provide better food security and a more environmentally sustainable future for livestock production. We're all very aware of the problems ahead for global food security because the population is projected to reach 9 billion by 2050. And so this is putting enormous pressure on the planet to produce sufficient food for the population. The consumption of global meat and milk is expected to increase by over 50%. And so we really need to bring technology into livestock production to really enable us to be more efficient and provide more sustainable food. It is well known that livestock production has an effect on the environment because around 15% of global greenhouse gas emissions are from livestock production. And this is largely due to cattle, which produce significant quantities of methane through their digestive processes. If we can improve the efficiency of livestock production, then we can really reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. It is known that the emissions intensity is 25 times worse in pastoral settings where livestock production is less efficient. And there are a lot of benefits to be gained by raising conception rates. Fertility is really the cornerstone of profitable farming. Here is an example based on UK farms. If we can actually return conception rates to the levels they were in the 1960s, the average UK farm will be able to retain more profits of up to £37,000 per year. And at the same time, they'll be able to reduce their methane emissions by 7.5%. Additionally, the improvements in efficiency will reduce competition for land and will also give us the opportunity to accelerate genetic gain so that the cows are producing a higher milk yield for the same level of effort. And farmers often focus heavily on the female fertility because they're the animals they have on their farm. So they're very good at looking out for signs of heat and inseminating at the correct time and ensuring their cows are in good health. However, when it comes to conception, male fertility is half of the problem. And so it's very important that we consider the semen quality and ensure that we're serving the cows the best semen quality available. So just to rein it all back before I talk a lot about motility, I thought I'd first explain what is motility. So motility is the ability of a microorganism, such as a sperm cell, to propel itself. So we often talk about the percentage progressive motility, and that is essentially the number of cells that are moving in a fairly straight line times 100 over the total population. We can also measure the mean swimming speed, and that is the average swimming speed of all those cells that are considered progressively motile. And so we're able to monitor their speed over time. And this is all achievable with our Dynescan instrument, which can be easily carried to the farm using a robust and portable box, which you can see at the top half, which can take the laptop and the instrument. And at the bottom, we have an accessories case so that measurements can be performed anywhere. And this is a very new and innovative technique, completely different from all other semen analysis technologies, because it relies on the application of statistical physics to intensity fluctuations in a video image. And because of the way it works, it means that we can measure thousands of cells at once, and we have a very portable, small instrument, which is essentially around the same size as a toaster. Every user has a user account, so they can go onto a web app and they can look at historical data, and they're able to see the measurements over time and actually create a PDF and share it with their partners and their customers. So traditionally, vets were usually taking a microscope to the farm to look at semen quality, and it is known that the results can vary by around 40% across the range. So it's not a very accurate technique. There are computer-aided semen analyzers, otherwise known as CASA machines, that are generally used in semen production. But they only work over a narrow range of concentrations, so it means that dilution is usually required to perform a good measurement. And the results can be very much dependent on the user because there's lots of different settings you can configure on the machine. The Dynescan is entirely automated because of the way it works. So no matter who uses it, they get very reproducible results. And it works across a very wide range of concentrations. So you don't need to dilute or affect the sample. It works from 1 million to 550 million cells per mil. And historical data is always available in the web app. It is also the first technology capable of measuring the lifetime of semen samples. And so these are two example graphs. In the top one, you can see the mean swimming speed over time. And you can see at the beginning, it was swimming at around about 80 microns per second and was moving quite fast. But the speed dropped at around about 20 minutes to kind of move to about half of that speed. So this is because the sperm cells are consuming oxygen in the media, but once that's consumed, they have to find a new route to a new metabolic pathway to fuel their motility and enable them to swim. They need another source of fuel, which is usually glucose. What we should see, as we can see in this example, is that there's no effect on the percentage motility, despite this change in the speed. And so this sample was able to maintain swimming behavior for well over 2 hours. And this sort of new insights from this data can be really helpful for helping the industry understand the metabolic health of sperm cells in a sample and to explore genetic factors that are associated with good flagellum structure and function, which are really important to ensure the sperm cells are motile at the point of fertilization, and also to look at improving extenders. And motility is essential because the semen has, after it's been inseminated, has to pass the uterus and swim through the oviduct to reach the oocyte or egg cell. And then it has to actually be able to swim into the outer layers of the egg cell. So it's really important it's able to maintain motility over time. And this data is an example just taken from a typical tank on a UK farm. And you can see there's a range of different bulls here. Normally, when a vet was looking at a sample such as this on a microscope, they would consider that bull X was good and it passed because the percentage progressive motility at time 0 is around 45%. But you can see with this data that bull X lost its motility around about sort of 20, 30 minutes and would not be able to maintain motility for long enough to fertilize an egg. We then looked at different batches from this bull X. We looked at the same batch and repeated the measurement. So you can see the orange data is very close to the red data, which shows the reproducibility of this technique. But you can also see there's a lot of variation between different batches. And this is why it's really important to perform semen analysis on every batch to make sure that it's of sufficient quality to favor good conception rates. What is also really interesting about this data is that for all the samples from bull X, you can see the percentage progressive motility declines over time. And this was not true for other samples that we studied in the tank, for example, bull Z, where motility was sustained for over 6 hours very nicely. And so we believe that this is probably due to some genetic factors and will be very interesting for researchers to study in more detail. So because we can gather this sort of data, we've come up with a new index to enable us to compare batches, which is the sustained motility lifetime, or SML, which is essentially the time taken for the percentage progressive motility to reduce by a fixed amount, which we've fixed by 40% here. And the samples here that you see in this example are all of sexed semen. So bull A was about 30% motile and able to sustain motility well over 2 hours. Bull B was only able to sustain motility for around 82 minutes, and bull C was very limited to around 41 minutes. And so with this sort of information, vets are already advising their farmers on the best breeding plans, exploring how to choose which which batch might be used for fixed time AI. So, for example, one with a limited lifetime might be more suitable for fixed time AI, and also looking to see which batches may be more suitable for maybe older cows where the fertility is more compromised, in which case that might be bull A. So they can really tailor the breeding plan to make sure they're making best use out of the semen samples. So independently, vets have actually been using the Dynescan to look at correlations between the sustained motility lifetime and conception rates. And what we're finding is there's quite a difference between the average conception rate of samples that can sustain motility for longer than 2 hours, which is 47%, compared with those that couldn't sustain motility for 2 hours, where we saw a conception rate average of 39%. And this leads to a 7.8% difference in the conception rate. And if a UK dairy farmer was, with all year round calving pattern, was able to recover that conception rate so that their average was 47%, they would then gain around £45,000 per year for a herd of 1,000 cows. So there's really significant gains to be had. We can also see here that the red samples were those that were sexed. So there is a good proportion that could maintain motility for more than 2 hours. But we can see that 8 out of the 9 samples that were not able to sustain motility were were the sexed semen. And so this indicates that when we're dealing with sexed semen, we need to be very careful that we are inseminating at the right time, and we're ensuring that the quality is robust and we're managing it properly and using it on cows that are in good health and with good fertility. So as you can see, the Dynescan provides very reproducible measurements, and we're able to see that the data over time should be reproducible within 5%. And so this means that it's a very useful tool for use from the point of semen production, again after importation into another country, and then also prior to insemination. So at every stage we can get a nice trace of the semen quality over time. And this will help us flag up any errors that have maybe led to deterioration of the semen quality, to make sure that the cows are being served with the best quality semen. So we brought the product to market last year in 2022, and we're already finding that Dynescan's used by customers on 4 different continents, and the spread of it is growing very nicely. It is being independently validated and used by semen production companies, but it's also being used quite a lot by vets who are able to provide new services to their farms. And we're hearing really good reports from customers and people who have used the technology, who are finding that they can help farmers improve their productivity and profit margins. So if anyone would like to get in touch with me to find out more, please do give me a call or send me an email, and I'd love to tell you more. Thank you.